I am back with my slanted board because last time I made a video like this, I promised myself I was gonna look for a spray or something to fix the glare problem, but I didn't do it. And now we're here. Time again to use this board and it reflects. So, okay. Here's my hope for you by the end of this video. I hope that you will get such an understanding of branding and marketing no matter what level you're at, whether you're a complete beginner or you're a total expert. Especially if you're an expert, you should watch this. I mean, if you're a beginner, it's going to be simple enough, but if you're an expert, you should totally watch it. Why? Because I know that the more you know, the more you complicate your life. And I understand when you're looking at people who seemingly don't know as much as you do what they're crushing because they're not overthinking and you have the expert curse and you're sitting there overanalyzing everything. So I'm gonna explain branding in the simplest way there is. And by the end of this video, you will never be confused about how to build a personal brand anymore. Okay, so this video is for creators, solopreneurs, small business owners, preferably service providers. I mean, you could use it if you have a product. This is meant for someone who wants to simplify the branding and marketing process. And in this video, I'm going to talk about when and how a brand is born. Meaning, we know that business starts when a customer buys your product or your service. Once you have that first sale, which we always remember, we are in business. But when exactly and how exactly do you have a brand? I mean, at what point do you know the brand is born, I guess? We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about the flywheel effect and what it has with building your brand. And the most important thing that I want to talk about today is this overused, extremely misunderstood, misinterpreted phrase of people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And it's very true, but 99% of people apply it the wrong way. And you end up with a lot of people who know you and like you and trust you enough to be your friend, but not enough to buy from you. So clearly there's something missing, and it's not missing from the phrase itself. It is actually missing from the understanding of what it truly means for people to know you. What does it mean for them to like you? And what is trust really is? Because it's not what you think it is, okay? So it might sound crazy that this is it, like this is branding 101, in a nutshell, everything you need to know to build a powerful personal brand that's going to attract and convert people and build a brand. I'm not saying you don't have to learn anything else ever. I'm just saying that it might sound crazy that this is it, but really this is the 80-20. If you understand this and you apply it, you're gonna be so much further ahead than where you are. And again, if you're a beginner, it's gonna work. If you're an expert, definitely watch it, because the more you know, the more you need to go back to the basics. Let's start with the first point. When and how is a brand born? And I wanna use an example of a new friend of mine. His name is Daniel. And to drive the point home that a brand is always built one-to-one. And this is the point that people miss. It's a one-to-one relationship. It doesn't matter if you have 2 followers or 2 trillion followers. It's always one-to-one, at least for the other person, right? For you as a business owner, you might forget that fact and think of it as an audience, a group of customers. But for the customer, for the buyer, for the client, it's really a relationship with you, with the brand, directly. They're not necessarily thinking about other people, even when there is a community. In this example with my friend Daniel, I met Daniel less than a month ago. Daniel and I exchanged some comments, some direct messages. We realized we have some things in common. We commented on each other's posts on LinkedIn. Nothing major. We jumped on a call. It was a video call. We realized we have so much more in common. And most importantly, we opened our hearts to each other and we had a very genuine and real conversation. And there was a true human connection, if you will. Now, does Daniel have a brand with me? Yes. I know enough about Daniel's work. I don't know a lot about his work, but I know what he does. And I know, like, and trust him in the way that I'm going to explain to you by the end of this video. Enough that if somebody came to me and said, well, Daniel, what he does, it would be helpful to explain what Daniel does. Daniel helps simplify content creation for creators, or creative professionals. If you have questions about video, I guess I'll probably reach out to him and be like, what do you recommend to remove glare on a video? But he's really good at that stuff. He's good at helping people show up on video and simplify the process of creating content. So if I had a friend, a connection, someone mentioned to me that they were struggling with that, guess who I'm gonna recommend? I'm gonna recommend Daniel, even though I've only known him for a month. Now, is a month enough to build trust, like a few exchanges on LinkedIn and one video call, enough to put my reputation on the line by recommending this person that I never really worked with directly? Absolutely, because I know that he's a genuine person and I've seen some of his content and he knows what he's talking about, and I trust him and I like him and I love him actually. He's an amazing human being, great energy, and I would feel good about recommending him. So he has a brand with me. But at what point does it become a brand? And this is when, is that a fly? That was a fly. At what point does it become a brand? It becomes a brand when the flywheel effect, so funny as I'm talking about the flywheel and the fly just flies by. Anyway, the flywheel effect kicks in, okay? The flywheel effect is from physics, and I think it's physics, I don't know. I am not even like a beginner when it comes to physics, but I'm familiar with this effect, and it was also mentioned in a book called Good to Great. In simple terms, this is like a wheel that stores kinetic energy, which then passes it to, let's say, the engine, the machine, and helps it smooth out the process of transferring and using that energy. Okay, this, I don't claim to understand this fully, but you see this pattern everywhere. You see it in exponential growth. What the flywheel effect does is when you have a stacking of small wins and they stack upon each other until you build enough momentum, and at some point the thing takes off. This is why I said it's like the exponential growth. This thing is able to run smoothly by itself, almost like a spontaneous kind of effect. Every time you have these one-on-one relationships with people, one after the other, when you have enough of those relationships, the flywheel effect kicks in and the thing kind of builds a life of its own. You notice this in everything, right? The compound effect is something that's widely talked about. You notice this in many, many areas in life. It just seems to be a principle that shows up in different areas, but you know, it's basically the compound effect is a simpler way to explain it. But this is what happens, is I don't know at exactly what point, and I was gonna say don't laugh, but you're free to laugh. I spent some time thinking about whether there is an equation for it, in the same way that there is an equation to escape velocity. I was like, is there an equation at which branding happens or at like it's born? And I was like, don't bother, like, anyway, I'll probably do it for fun, but anyway, I wasn't gonna delay the video for another 5 years thinking about the equation. But this is what the flywheel effect is if you have enough of these one-on-one conversations, enough of building brands one-to-one with this person, you build the know, like, and trust factor, you stack these wins enough times until it builds momentum. It's very hard to tell when that moment happens, but there is a moment where it's like, whoa. Some people say, like, you're gonna wonder how to do it until you wonder how you did it. My favorite is nothing happens, everything happens. So anyway, that's kind of the experience of exponential growth and the compound effect finally showing results. You don't see it when you're going through it, but when you look back after you've reached your goals, one day you look back when you've forgotten about it and you're like, holy shit, that happened. So that's how it goes. How am I going to approach the rest of this? We're at 9 minutes. Okay, let's talk about the know, like, and trust factor, which is so misunderstood. I misunderstood it too for the longest time. And I was a marketing consultant for like more than 10 years, so it's okay. I just want you to know that the reason why it doesn't work for a lot of people, they think it's literally know, literally like, and literally trust, because the words sound so simple. And then they go out there and they try to build relationships where people know who they are and like them and trust them because they're honest people, and they're scratching their heads and they're like, why is nobody buying? So what does it really mean to know? I feel like we're sitting in a philosophy class. What does it mean to know? I'm very happy to have these kind of conversations, but in the context of this, I really want you to ask the question. And what it means to know is two things. First is brand awareness, like literally people knowing who you are, first and foremost. But awareness, I could have branched this out even more than just awareness of who you are, but clicking, okay? Clicking. I'll explain what this means. Let's say you know somebody, his name is John Smith. John Smith is a chef. Hey, John Smith, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. What do you do? I'm a chef. Great. You probably have some assumptions about what it means to be a chef. So you're thinking he probably works in hotels. He probably works in, you know, fancy restaurants. Maybe he works for people who can afford to hire a personal chef. Now you meet your friend Sally. I'm horrible at coming up with names. The following week or 2 weeks later, Sally is like, I'm so frustrated, I don't have time to cook. You might even think of, was his name John Smith? I think. John Smith, whatever. You think of John Smith, but you don't think of recommending John Smith. And if you do, she's like, I can't afford that 3 times a day or 2 times a day, 7 days a week. It's not gonna work out, okay? Now, imagine if John Smith said to me, I'm a chef, and what I love to do is, you know how people don't have time to cook healthy, great meals throughout the week, and they don't have the money to hire a full-time chef? What I do is I like to go to people's homes and I like to sit with them and plan out their meals for the whole week and help them create the grocery list. And I sit with them and we meal prep and we do it within 3 hours. And that way they have a whole week's worth of fresh, or semi-fresh, but at least home-cooked, healthy, great, chef-approved meals. And it's really affordable. And I love working with busy moms and dads and that sort of thing. And now it's clicking. He doesn't even have to tell me that he works with busy moms and dads. Like, the minute he explains to me what he does in a way that makes sense, that when I hear the problem that my friend is telling me about, when I hear the struggle, I can fit this person as a solution for them. Again, you don't have to tell me exactly, this is all I do. All I do is I go to people's homes and I do this. But if I have enough of an idea of like, aha, this is what you do. You want to make sure that people aren't operating with that kind of judgment or whatever, judgment, positive or negative, by the way, just ideas about what you do. Like if I only said that I am a brand and marketing, consultant or whatever, people think one thing, but what I really do is I help people become fully self-expressed. What I really do is I help people connect to who they are, their unique, authentic self, and get out of their own ways so that they can show up boldly with their message, with their passion, with their purpose. They can have a business that makes them feel alive. And was it Socrates who said that the best way to build a reputation is to endeavor to become who you want to be until you naturally are known for that? And that is really the best branding advice. And this is in a nutshell what I do, is working with creative and conscious people who want to unleash their creative genius and access their creative genius, get in flow, operate from passion, from purpose, and build a business that's authentic. But if I were to say I'm a brand and marketing consultant and I kind of help people with creativity and whatever, look, like most people are not going to get it. Most people are not even going to think that their friend needs a brand and marketing consultant or coach or whatever you want to call it, or guide, facilitator. Oh, by the way, also help facilitate psychedelics. So you see how like I'm mashed up this thing, and it's like, it makes perfect sense when the person sees it. If you go to brandsarealive.com, it'll make perfect sense. But you have to have that awareness. My friend that I talk to, the person that I build the one-to-one relationship with, needs to have awareness not only of who I am and what I do, but awareness of how it clicks. The simplest way to think about it is, what exactly am I getting out of working with you? And then they can fit you. And trust me, they will do such a great job recommending you if they believe in it. This is a reason why I always say you can't buy in. You can't make people believe in you just by spending money on influencers and that sort of thing. The best affiliate marketers, the best influencer campaigns, they come from people who genuinely believe. They have buy-in, okay? And that passion is contagious. So if I think that John Smith's work is so cool and I love John Smith, I will recommend him with a lot of passion, and my connections will see that. If I were to talk about someone like Daniel, I would be the best salesperson ever, because I could go on and on and on. This video is already like, love this human being, just beautiful soul, beautiful energy. There's just so much to love, and he is good at what he does. And how do I know that? Just by reading a few of his posts and seeing that he's demonstrating that he knows what he's talking about. So I didn't have to work with him for 15 years before I could put my name behind his. Okay, so that is awareness. Now, salience, brand salience. Big words, Aliana. What does it mean? Brand salience means the degree to which your name, your brand name, is top of mind for them. So, for example, if you get a cold, and you're probably going to think of Kleenex, a cut, you're probably going to think of Band-Aid, even though Kleenex is actually the brand name for tissue and Band-Aid is the brand name for adhesive bandages, which I had no idea about. I had to look it up. Those are strong examples of brand salience. This is why a lot of coaches, consultants recommend that you show up on social media, post 3 times a day and that sort of thing. Not necessarily. I'm gonna link in the description to another video called Your Brand's Emotional Signature. That's talks about having an emotional signature that makes you memorable, okay? So I'll link to it. But brand salience, what it means is that you are top of mind for this person. So whether it's a combination of being seen by this person or triggering certain emotions, either way, the person has to think of you. So if John Smith, the chef, I met them 5 years ago and we never connected again, I might never think about them when the time comes. But if we are connected on social media and I see their posts even once a week or once every couple of weeks, that's more than enough for me to remember who they are. Now, note here, and I don't want to go on a tangent, doesn't mean just post once every 2 weeks, because the truth is, as we know with social media, the algorithm may not show you to all the people that you know. But anyway, I digress. So that is the awareness and salience. Let's talk about the next one. They like you. What does it mean? This could have been phrased as they do not dislike you, right? Because they don't actually need to like you as in have a strong preference for you. Of course, if they like you, that's even better. They have to not dislike you. They have to see themselves working with you or feel good about recommending you to someone else to work with. They don't have to think that you're, a really amazing person to be stuck at the airport with and have conversations with. But again, if you are, that's awesome. What liking is about in this context specifically, it's about affinity or brand affinity. What it is basically the degree to which your customer, your buyer, your client feels aligned with your values. This is why I keep talking about building a brand of full self-expression and being fully authentic. The truth is, no matter how strange, weird, unique you are going, I know these words aren't the same and some of them have a negative connotation, but whatever. No matter how unlikable you think you are, you're gonna find people who will like you and love you. So don't try to manufacture anything to be liked or outsource your values to what you think the market cares about. Dig deep and figure out what is it that you do care about. And your one-to-one conversations will be a lot more fun as a result of that, because now you're talking to people that you genuinely enjoy talking with and they are really resonant with your values, and it just feels more natural, and you're more likely to have an effect, and you're more likely to build real relationships, and you're more likely to succeed because you're more likely to stick with it even when you're not seeing results. And believe me, with these things, with building a brand, the results they don't happen overnight, even if you know what you're doing. Okay, and finally, trust. And this one is the most misunderstood because people think it's about being honest. And yes, of course, being honest is here, everywhere, right? You have to be honest, but what it really means in this context is, do they trust you to be the one to do the work for them? You might be offended or hurt, I don't know, maybe I'm projecting, to think that, like, I'm saying, do they trust you that you're competent enough to do what you do? And if they're not buying, then they don't think that. They don't have to necessarily feel like you're incompetent if they don't trust you to do the work. It could be that, oh, what you're offering is great, but it's not what I need. It's not for me. Going back to the chef example. Yeah, I trust that you're an awesome chef, but I don't care. I don't have a hotel. I don't have a restaurant. I'm not a trillionaire. I'm just a simple person with a simple lifestyle, and I just need some help, figuring out my meals, and I can't afford, and then cue all the ideas and thoughts and projections that you might have about a chef. It's not for me. It's not going to work. And most people don't open up to more in life. They don't open up to the opportunity that they can have more, right? They shut down. And this is one example of mine. I can't afford it, so therefore it's not for me. That's gonna happen, right? Trust means, do I trust that you're the one to solve the problem that I have? Do I trust that you have what I need, what I want? That's really all there is to it. Do I trust that? And then also, of course, do I trust that you know what you're talking about? And so when we're talking about people knowing, liking, and trusting you, we're talking about people knowing who you are, first of all, having awareness of your existence, having the clicking awareness that you fit into the mental model that I can place you somewhere, right? It's not just a vague word with a bunch of connotations. I can see you fitting into a certain situation, position. I can think of scenarios where you would be a great fit. Awareness, salience, being top of mind, remembering you, not just disappearing for years, decades, and then wondering why the person hasn't thought of you. There were many times when somebody asked me for a recommendation. I was like, I don't know anyone who does that. And then weeks later, months later, I'm like, oh my God, there was that one person I know who told me they're looking for clients, but that was like months ago and I completely forgot. So salience, liking, affinity, values. Don't worry about what the market wants. There will always be people who like you, people who don't like you. Do you like you? That's the question. Dig deep and figure out how is it that you're going to like yourself, and trust that you're going to resonate with the right people at the right time. Trust. Do they trust you? Of course, as far as honesty, do they trust you that you have the competence, but also do they trust that you are the one who has the solution that they're looking for? Don't take it personally, but it's a question that you have to ask yourself. That was this video for today. I tried to keep it as short as possible. I hope I was able to help you out understand what branding is, at least at a high level. It's really a matter of doing one-to-one relationships with correct and accurate understanding of know, like, and trust, and to do it long enough and consistently enough until the flywheel effect kicks in. And most importantly, when it does, continue doing what you're doing and don't stop. Thank you for watching. My name is Aliana Kali, founder at Brands Are Alive, where I make videos like these every week to help conscious creators like you build a brand of full self-expression and a business that makes you feel alive. I'll see you next week.